tell, then you see the road. I'm out to my soul into the sides whenever the smoke clear out of my face and my picture perfect. Do it. All of that green together, the truth, yeah. Tell you the
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the fourth part of What If My Little Pony Meets Total Drama series. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of CaioCoia on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. In the heart of Canterlot, nestled within the majestic walls of the royal palace, lay the exquisite royal gardens. Here, beneath the azure sky and bathed in the soft glow of the sun, lush greenery flourished in abundance, creating a serene oasis of natural beauty amidst the bustling city. The gardens were a symphony of color and fragrance, with vibrant blooms of every hue carpeting the landscape in a riot of color. Roses, tulips, and lilies danced in the gentle breeze, their delicate petals unfurling in a delicate display of nature's artistry. Towering trees arched overhead, their leafy branches swaying in harmony with the whispering wind, casting dappled shadows upon the verdant earth below. Stone pathways wound their way through the garden, meandering past bubbling fountains and tranquil ponds teeming with koi fish. The air was alive with the melodious song of birds, their sweet melodies mingling with the gentle rustle of leaves and the soothing murmur of flowing water. At the heart of the garden, a grand pavilion stood proudly, its elegant columns and intricate carvings a testament to the craftsmanship of Canterlot's finest artisans. Here, amidst the splendor of nature, Princess Celestia and her esteemed guests gathered for a leisurely afternoon tea. And the guests by this time were no pony else than special to her. Seated around a polished wooden table adorned with delicate china and sparkling silverware, Princess Celestia, Princess Cadance, and Shining Armor savored the tranquil atmosphere of the garden as they indulged in cups of fragrant tea and dainty pastries. Their laughter mingled with the gentle hum of conversation as they exchanged stories and shared fond memories of times gone by. Princess Celestia, resplendent in her flowing robes of gold and ivory, radiated warmth and grace as she presided over the gathering with regal dignity. Her gentle smile lit up her face as she listened attentively to her companions, her wise eyes sparkling with quiet amusement. Beside her, Princess Cadance exuded an aura of elegance and poise, her graceful movements and radiant smile a reflection of her inherent beauty and kindness. She laughed merrily at Shining Armor's jests, her laughter like tinkling bells in the gentle breeze. Shining Armor, captain of the royal guard, cut a striking figure in his polished armor and regal attire. His strong, noble features were softened by the warmth of his smile as he regaled his companions with tales of his latest exploits in service to the crown. And nearby, Princess Luna, the serene mistress of the night, watched over the gathering with a fond smile as she cradled her beloved niece, Flurry Heart, in her arms. The baby princess cooed and giggled, her bright eyes wide with wonder as she reached out to touch the colorful butterflies that flitted through the air around her. Together, they basked in the tranquility of the royal gardens, their hearts filled with love and laughter as they savored the simple joys of friendship and camaraderie amidst the splendor of nature's embrace. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow upon the horizon, they knew that moments like these were to be cherished forever in the hallowed halls of memory. Until a question was made at that moment. "I'm surprised to see you all come here to visit us. I thought you both were waiting for Twilight to visit you all for a nice time before Hearts and Hooves Day." Princess Celestia commented, which made both husband and wife, monarchs of Crystal Empire, blink from such a question. "She is?" Both Shining Armor and Princess Cadance asked in unison as they heard the giggling coming towards their little filly who was seeing the princess of the night making faces at her. "Well, from the letter I received, she seemed eager to visit you both before coming to visit her parents here in Canterlot." Princess Celestia noticed the nervous sweat coming from both ponies and then realized what possibly happened. She then blinked before uttering their word. "Oh. She is probably in the train at this moment. She is going to be peeved at the time she finds out that we aren't at the castle." Shining pointed at his wife, and she laughed nervously. Maybe she will forgive us. Cadance tried to be optimistic, but Shining glared. Oh, she will forgive us, but she will never let us live this down. The Prince of Crystal Empire and the Chief of Royal Guard sighed, knowing his baby sister would never let him forget about the fact they left her travel all the way to Crystal Empire just for her to be turned back. Well, that seems to be a big issue when it comes to Twilight, but I'm sure that things will be fine in the end. Princess Celestia assured as she knew her protégé as a new leader of Ponyville would be fine, since knowing the responsibilities of being a princess, she would also be able to accept the times of inconvenience happening around. As the couple looked unsure of how to reply to that, suddenly the sound of trots could be heard from nearby. Your Highness, one of the royal guards came towards the group who seemed to be surprised by his appearance. Squire Flapjack, what's the matter? Instead of the Princess of the Sun being the pony who asked the guard, the former chief of the royal guards asked, as he saw the look of surprise and sweat from one of the squires he trained before. Everything is fine, sir, it's just the daughter of Princess Celestia came to make a visit. Flapjack answered the worries of the royalty by replying to one piece of news nobody would ever expect, and one which made the Princess of the Sun have a smile wider than most ponies would ever see. Sunset came for a visit? By all means, Squire Flapjack, allow her to pass. Celestia felt it had been months since her last visit to Equestria, since most of the time she was focusing on her studies and even her internship in the human world. The princess has been a proud mother for seeing how her little filly has become so independent, but sometimes she wished to have more time to talk and pass the time with her little sunny girl after the time they peace with each other. As you wish, your Highness. The royal guard gave a slight bow before trotting back towards the entrances of the castle, leaving the eager Princess of the Sun, an amused Princess of the Moon, and a wary Princess of Love at the same time. Oh, great, Sunset is here. Cadance commented as she gave a forced smile while her husband tapped on her back. Honey, we talked about this. She said she was sorry about the mud incident. Shining Armor knows that his lovely wife sometimes had a very strict childhood with the orange filly. Both girls had a rivalry in the past due to jealousy, and that was a very hostile time between them until the breaking point when Sunset left Equestria, while a few weeks later Cadance became an Alicorn after making a spell of love. Their relationship grew better when Sunset returned to Equestria after failing the attempt on the human world, since with the help of Twilight, she became the bridge to amend the ties that were torn apart over the years. But last year's heart's-warming gift really made Cadance lose her cool and try to spell blast her own cousin. From a traditional game in the human world called a white elephant. He had no idea why they have a white elephant and what it has to do with hearts warming. I know it's just it took 2 weeks to clean up all that mess, but also I should have blamed myself since she explained it was a whole month of mud bath experience and I should have done that carefully and shouldn't have opened with magic over her warning. But still, I think a spa coupon would have done better. The Princess of Love pouted, which made the King of Crystal Empire chuckle at her action. And made him smile fondly at her. Ah, but you have to confess your fur became smooth, and even Flurry Heart played with the mud for days. She even slept well for 10 days straight, like we needed it. The white stallion commented as he could see the pouting of his lovely wife. Which made the Princess of Love couldn't help but accept his point. That's true, well, at least she apologized. Cadance accepted, as she then saw the mare coming in their direction. Hi, Sunset. Sunset, how great to see you again. The poor mare didn't even have time to wave at the pink Alicorn when the bacon-haired mare felt captured by the telekinesis spell and was pulled between the forelegs of the white Alicorn, who was so happy to see the mare once again. Oh, look at you, already this big. How the humans treated you. Are you doing fine in your studies? And how are the girls around? Did the Twilight of your world have thoughts about visiting Canterlot this time? Whoa, Mom, calm down. I was just out for a few months, but yeah, the studies are fine, but also some of my friends are still freaking out from walking by Ponyville after the last time, but maybe I can manage a personal visit, but it depends on their humor. Sunset commented as she gave a slight wave to Cadance, who chuckled from seeing the BRT mare at the clutches of the mama bear Alicorn. Sunset was about to comment on something when she just saw the filly being around the Princess of Night forelegs. Ah, look at Flurry Heart, just a few months and she looked even bigger, so how many buildings did she destroy while I was out? Sunset used a teleport spell which made the matriarch of the family pout about not having her filly in her arms again. Thankfully not a building in comparison to the last year, so how have you been, Sunset? Shining Armor chuckled as he could see the little filly giving raspberry to her father. Sunset giggled as they gave a hoof bump to each other. Well, another year of class. But that's how life is. Sunset smiled as it seemed they forgave her from the White's elephant fiasco. So, please, tell us the reason for your visit. Princess Luna walked by as she carried the little filly who was happy to see the mayor once again. Oh, that right. Sunset suddenly realized why she passed a whole 2-hour train trip to bring herself to the city of Canterlot. By giving a scroll to Princess Celestia, who had her eyebrow raised from the explanation. I heard from Twilight that Spike had visited all the family in the last weeks, so he planned to have the entire month for himself in the castle while Twilight had to visit every pony around. So I offered myself to babysit him and pass the time like brother and sister. That's a lovely idea, Cadance commented as she still didn't get why Spike refused to stay on the PRD of the Hearts and Hooves Day at Crystal Empire. Having a lot of ponies who would love to see their hero in their city, and even if she had some luck, she could find some potential mayor, or Mares in case Spike was feeling lonely in the Empire. So did you bring Spike with you? Actually no, at the time I appeared on the castle, it seemed Spike wasn't there, so I found this scroll dressed to Mom. Sunset Shimmer commented as she shrugged, and from the look on their faces, she could understand that something good wasn't, but she scoffed. I mean, it's fine, I didn't know you have a reality show around Equestria. Reality show? Shining Armor commented as he tilted his head, never hearing what words the pony who went into the human world had just said. Wait, Sunset blinked until she realized something was wrong. Oh yeah, you guys don't have television. Right, you are. Princess Celestia nodded her head firmly, as her face shadowed and contained anger, knowing that her daughter explained so much about the technological differences from the human world. She could understand some words, but she also never heard about what this reality show was supposed to be. However, there was one right thing. And the letter was clear. Tia, if you are reading this, then you must know that my friend and your lovely baby dragon Spike is not around the castle anymore. I got him an invitation for something he wouldn't be bored with, and it's going to be amazing. He is in a reality show, and Fluttershy will enjoy a good time watching him, so cancel all my meetings, and do not try to contact Spike, the magic will not work, and I have a great bet with him. So he will be back probably in a month. Always your good and handsome friend. D. The Princess of the Moon walked to see the content of the letter, but immediately the letter just burned in a fire which made every pony take a step back. Discord, if you don't get here in the next 5 seconds, you are going to wish to be banished to the sun after I finish with you. The monarch of the Canterlot said like a whisper, but suddenly everyone felt a shrive in their spines when the motherly face of the princess became serious like that. 5, 4, 3. And like a snap of magic, it didn't take long to process what happened, but everyone who was in the royal garden just poofed in the middle of the air, and then they got out from a dark purple portal which was in the middle of the living room. The ponies blinked at what just happened, and seeing the house for the first time, they could understand the meaning of a chaotic home. There was a group of smiling objects singing around, the lava in the walls slowly falling on the floor, and even some glowing origami flying around random stairs. It was pretty chaotic. What the? Shining Armor looked around, and even found a piñata pony who was sneezing candy, which Flurry Heart immediately flew directly and hugged it, which the piñata was struggling from the sudden attack of Snugless from the Princess of Crystal Empire. Where are we? Cadance commented as she tilted her head, and while she found her filly enjoying a new friend, she teleported her filly in her forelegs, which the piñata nodded in gratitude before jumping on the window. You are in my house. Then a familiar voice which made the stoic face of Princess Celestia remain firm replied their answer. The Draconequus appeared as he was using a WHP to attack something. YAH, sorry, I'm having difficulty with dealing with the whipped cream. Discord, Celestia and Luna said in unison, which made the Lord of Chaos roll his eyes. Don't you Mares see that I'm kinda busy? I have a mare in my bedroom, and I want to spoil her to have her best heart hooves day while we watch television. Discord said as he snapped his fingers, and the wild whipped cream became a little fish which he immediately pulled inside of an aquarium full of hot chocolate. While I respect your choice of a date, Discord, which I find a very good way to start a heart and hooves day, Discord, but I think our main question is about the disappearance of Spike, and looking at Auntie, she wants an explanation from you. Cadance tried to go straight to the point, which made Discord sigh and even pinch between his nose. Okay, who was the funny pony who brought the scroll to Princess Celestia before Twilight Sparkle went on her trip to Crystal Empire? Discord said loudly, as the group stared confused at him until the Lord of Chaos just stared at the sheepishly Sunset shimmer. Oh, so you must be Sunset, Spike told me about you in a few O&O sessions, shouldn't you be on vacation with your friends? Well, I came to pass the month with Spike since I was supposed to babysit him, Sunset said as she then glared at him. But he disappeared. Whoa, hold on, I didn't know you would come for a visit, and neither him. He planned to pass the whole month inside of the castle doing nothing but reading a few books and comic books, and planning for guys' night in a few weeks. Discord defended himself as he even pointed to his halo over his head. Me as a good friend said, oh come on Spike, you must have something new to explore, Hearts and Hooves Day is coming, we need to find you a mare. Anything, and he was dismissing me. Can you believe it? So then you snapped him to another dimension. Princess Celestia contained herself, as she understood how Discord wanted to help her baby dragon, and while one part was accepting the good intentions, she was still waiting for the right moment to blast his face off his body. No, I offered him a bet. A friend of mine who is human from another dimension is doing a reality show, about a summer camp, 22 campers, 1 winner, dealing with challenges, and votes for the expendable group. An experience of Spike exploring his limits, making new friends, and from the things I'm watching, shipping in the air. Discord said as he snapped his fingers, showing a t-shirt of the Spike silhouette and the flag of screaming gophers. Shipping. And just by saying that, Candance's eyes sparkled with interest, in a family member and the possibility of interest in her area. Tell me more. Princess Luna stared at her sister, who was with her resolute face, and she could see her big sister was hesitating, so for the best of the peace around the house, she decided to ask. So, there isn't any bad intention, it was just a bet between you two. Spike goes to a competition, finds new friends, and Mares to help his relationship. Luna said as she could see Princess Celestia finally calming down. It's a human world, so possibly he will have a better experience in the human world. And before you say their reaction to Spike being a dragon or a dog, I made a bet, so I made sure everything was covered. He became human, and everything he says related to Equestria will be exchanged to the human culture to make his disguise perfect. Discord answered before Sunset could say about the condition of her brother, and seeing Discord already covered up, she was just interested in one thing. So, what would be the prize? Sunset then gave a question which Discord just shrugged off. $100,000. Holy shit, Sunset exclaimed, which made every pony stare at her in surprise, and Cadance glared daggers at her cousin to cuss in front of her baby, which thankfully there were muffled headphones around her little ears. Sorry. You're welcome, Discord said as the Princess of Love gave a smile in gratitude. And how much this is in bits? Shining armor. To hear such exclamation, the amount of money would be interesting, so he asked by the conversion. 250,000 bits. And by the conversation, Shining Armor felt his mouth drop, but immediately whistled in appreciation. Okay, it seems a lot of bits, so, and the bet between you two? We signed a contract to never tell the bet, so you cannot force me, Discord said as he could feel the entire room getting warmer. Oh come on Tia, this is a bet between friends, now stop glaring at me and help me with the snacks. And why should I help you? Celestia said coldly until she felt the chaos magic hold her horn. Because I know how many pounds of cake you can eat, and I know that you are going to pest me until you watch all the episodes on the show. Spike is I wanted to make that a private date show time, but it seems that you getting on my nerves. The only way I do that, is by A letting you watch with us, B creating a television for you all to watch, which this sound very tempting offer. We accept it, Cadance replied before the monarch of the sun even could reply. Also, could you teleport Twilight to the Canterlot Castle as well? It's because she may be very upset about finding out that we are not in our castle. Sure, but I would have liked to see her face when she would have been dragged to Crystal Empire and then returned to her castle, just to find out Spike isn't there would have been an amazing prank. Discord said as he lamented, and from seeing Celestia was still restricting herself, he pouted. Oh come on Tia, Spike is having fun, you should relax and see your son enjoying himself. The Princess of the Sun gritted her teeth, but with a deep sigh she relaxed her mind. Fine, you are right, I'm still mad at you. But at least I'm going to see how my son will go. This will take a whole month. Princess Celestia asked as she felt sad to not see her baby dragon for so long. Well, the time stream is complicated, it was supposed to be 8 weeks, but our time is relative, so many things happen around there and you may be watching 3 episodes already, maybe Spike will be here for a slight break before another season, who knows. Discord shrugged, and as the time the ponies would ask about, there was a voice from upstairs. Discord, the commercial break is over. Sunset Shimmer recognized it was the voice of her friend's counterpart, and from seeing the impatience face of the Lord of the Chaos, they were almost in time to get kicked out. Well, I answered everything I could, now you have the technology, and Twilight is already there. Good luck trying to explain that to her. Now ta-ta. Discord was in such a hurry that he snapped the fingers twice, and in the next second, the group of ponies and Philly woke up in their royal chambers. Instead of they being in the royal garden, or in the throne room, they found themselves above the royal mattress which was supporting the weight of 6 ponies and a filly above the bed. Ugh, next time sister, you shouldn't make him in a hurry. Princess Luna grumbled as she felt the weight of her sister above her back. And can you take your sunbutt out of me? Who are you calling sunbutt? And I didn't choose his offer of teleporting us with a television, I wanted to watch with them and make sure to buck him later. But it was Cadance who jumped on his offer. The Princess of the Sun replied as he glared back at her own sister, who suddenly made sure to look at the Princess of Love who was stretching herself. Hey, it's his plans of hearts and hooves' day, it's a sacred day for ponies who should romance, and we shouldn't intrude, Cadance commented as she was always in favor of those who were in love, and making a mess in their plans of a date was something that she was always against, and she even glared at both his aunts. And you being in a hurry made him annoyed, so I wanted to make sure that we get what we want and leave him alone. Wow, honey, I think they got it. Shining Armor said as he could see his baby flurry. Heart's eyes still spinning from the sudden teleport and with the group of ponies waking up from the bed, suddenly he felt something punching his belly. Ouch, who is oh? Take me out of here. There was a muffled voice from his little sister who was just on the train, but in the next second, she found herself teleported into a bed and suddenly ponies dropped above her body. Ops sorry, Twilight. Shining Armor said sheepishly, as he saw his little sister was now in the royal chambers, which meant they weren't in that much trouble. What just happened? Twilight narrowed her eyes, as she wanted so much to find the culprit of that idea, and then just found a mare who was lying on the bed with her eyes closed. Wait, Sunset. Ugh, not now Twilight, I'm about to see Flash's working out regime. The orange mare had no idea of what happened, but she found herself sleeping after such a spell and she got unconscious. Sunset, wake up. Twilight and Princess Celestia called the mare who just snapped from that state. What oh, there is the television, Sunset said as she was already looking for the remote control, and thankfully she found the one right next to the screen. Which was perfect too. Can Semepony explain to me what's happening? Twilight Sparkle shouted as she was still trying to find a way to understand the sudden teleport from every pony. Okay, so let's summarize. Discord made a bet with Spike, and now Spike is in the human world in another dimension, where he has a chance to win a contest on television with a prize of 250,000 bits because he found out Big Mac was with Sugar Belle and the night sky was messed up. And because Spike already visited every pony, he had the entire summer vacation for himself at the castle. Twilight, when she summarized, actually pointed out some internal info. The ponies around the bedroom raised their eyebrows. Yeah, pretty much, but I didn't think the Apple family was also a factor when it comes to the bet. Princess Celestia praised her student, as she never thought she could have a view related to something she didn't imagine the reasons why Spike would do it. Well, I tried to warn him about the chance Discord would come for a visit, but I didn't expect Spike would be interested in the bet, but I gotta say 250,000 bits was very high money, Twilight commented as she felt intrigued by the reasons on why Spike accepted, and while the number of bits was high, Spike could receive it with both his allowances and the salary he has in the School of Friendship. But maybe there is another reason why Spike is accepting. I'm surprised to see you accepting this so easily. Shining Armor commented as he thought he never saw his sister becoming so mature. No, I'm not. I'm freaking out inside, I'm just not showing it. Twilight commented as both Shining Armor and Cadance rolled their eyes. Well, I'm glad that every pony seemed accepting this. Now I wanted to come here to see Spike and pass the time with him, but now that he is on the television, I'm curious about how far he will go. Sunset commented as he took the remote control and started to press the button, which showed a list of episodes. 3 episodes until now. Not so happy campers. Point 1. It's the first episode. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? Princess Celestia commented as she gulped into seeing the picture of humans sitting around a campfire. Let's not jump to conclusions yet, sister. From the look on their faces, it seems some are having fun. Maybe this show isn't bad at all, and I'm sure Spike is going to be doing great. Luna assured her sister, which made her also look at the photograph and have one question in mind, why do some of them have the same color of fur? It's called skin, and I think in my dimension humans do have the same color of our fur, but it seems this is a bit complicated. Let's just not focus on it. Sunset learned a lot from having to deal with Pinkie Pie. With something you don't know, it's just let them be and continue their lives. That seems wise, my daughter. Let's just try to find your brother. Celestia agreed with Sunset until she tried to find around the photo of the opening, the group sitting around, until she saw 2 guys with green hair, one of them with also purple part of the hair, and the other with black, and from the look on their faces and their expressions she already can distinguish which one is her baby. That one. Found him. Where? Twilight asked until Princess Celestia walked and pointed her hoof to the boy wearing purple and green, and even having purple and green hair. Oh, there he is. Well, I think we are wasting too much time. Let's just start the first episode already. Sunset commented, as she decided to lay in her hooves and press the button of play, which started the first episode of the show. So that's him. Princess Celestia glanced at the human who appeared so used to walking around 2 feet, which was something unusual for her to watch. I'm curious about how he and Discord became so much friends, and how he managed to accept Spike to participate in the first place. Sis, let's just watch. You are kinda interrupting the show if we keep talking. Princess Luna could see that at the moment the Princess of the Sun talked, Sunset pressed the pause button. Oh, I apologize. Princess Celestia commented as she mused to see how everything would happen. I can pause in one respective point of the episode while we comment for a while, Sunset suggested, but she also couldn't help but groan. But if we do that every time this will take forever. Sunset made a good point. Let's just pause when it comes to critical moments. Twilight offered, as the other ponies seemed to be fine with that. The princesses and Shining Armor glanced at each other, not understanding the meaning of never coming back, and the image of the summer camp being old and wrecked didn't seem to appeal to them at all. They have to confess, that they found the theme song catching, and both Princess Celestia and Princess Cadance could imagine Flurry Heart, Sunset, and Spike singing They Wanted to Be Famous. Especially now they found a compromising video on how a group of teenagers in so clumsy a way trying to survive a such terrible summer camp. Flurry Heart even was giggling from the theme song, while Twilight and Sunset looked unsure if they were going to like what they were watching. That show seemed to be disgusting, but it was a reality show and Sunset watched dozens of them in the human world. She just hoped Spike would be fine. That's what everyone wished for. When Beth first appeared there was just one simple reaction. PFFF ha 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 ha. Shining Armor laughed as he could see from between the lines how angry the host became. It seems to call him short, it's a low blow to him, ha 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 ha. Cadance rolled her eyes at the dad joke Shining had said, but she couldn't help to find it funny to see the host weirded like that. When DJ appeared, the group showed some sympathy towards the giant Jamaican who was just tricked by the host of the show. When Gwen appeared, she made a very good first impression on the group. I like her already. Princess Luna commented as she saw the group staring at her. She has attitude, and tried to rip the contract. Also I liked her mane. It's called hair auntie, but you are right, she has grit and I like her style as well. Sunset had to confess, that Goth had attitude, but it seems the host was 5 steps ahead of her. The group liked to see Jeff since he seemed a very good, chill boy who wanted to have a great time at the show, and they couldn't help but smile to see some campers happy to be in the show. Lindsay was a surprise to every pony since her appealing appearance and her unique way of being clueless made fun of Chris, and every pony already liked her. Ha 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 ha, I don't know if she is doing this on purpose to mess him up, or she is just clueless like Ditzy do. Sunset Shimmer commented that she finds it hilarious to see others getting their patience tested, people who aren't like her at least. She likes Flash's best friend, but somehow her cluelessness is the bane of her existence. They liked the campers already until they met Heather. The group looked at each other, and from seeing her reaction, they found some traces of similarity of some annoying nobles who were a pain in their flank. Some spoiled rotten nobles made them wish for vacations, the brown nose attitude that would make them sigh and sometimes slam their foreheads on the table. Even on there, they have ponies like her. Princess Celestia sighed in dismay, knowing that possibly Spike would have difficulty dealing with this kind of pony or person. Like Sunset corrected her. And interrupting their thoughts, then came Duncan. The group looked strangely at the music, but Princess Luna and surprisingly Flurry Heart were bumping their heads to the sound of the music. I have to say, his style is unique. Princess Luna at the time she was younger, had ideas into how to develop her style of monarchy, and the idea of maybe using spikes and skulls would have been appealing to her. It seems to be a dimensional thing. Thank Faust you didn't make a style like that for yourself. And like a very good old sister, Princess Celestia took out from her strange mind, about messing up with her lovely face and good mane like the knight. He is from a juvenile? Sunset Shimmer asked as she flinched with the idea. Juv what? Cadance asked, which made Sunset torn between telling the truth or not. It's a facility where they lead minors trying to pay for their actions in front of the law, Twilight explained, which made all the adults have their eyes wide open. They placed my baby dragon with a criminal who should be in the dungeons. Celestia shouted in both disbelief and outrage, which made Sunset flinch and try to diminish the anger. It's not like that, Mom. Sometimes depending on the people, it may be for silly things, like vandalism, which just simple things from breaking the law could lead some people on there as well, Sunset explained, which slowly made her mother calm down. Then came Tyler, causing some of them to snicker towards him, splashing on the campers, especially Heather, who looked very angry. Ah, karma, the correction of the universe. Sunset raised a thumbs up, she didn't know why, but she knew the queen bee deserved it. He seems very clumsy. Twilight pointed out, as she said Sunset had by who was the best friend of Flash Sentry. Does Ditzy do was like that in your world as well? Yep, she is always clumsy and clueless. I fear the day those two would actually be a couple and have children. Sunset, Cadance shouted in anger, which made the mare look sheepishly at her cousin. You cannot judge love, ponies, and people love for the sake of who they love, and you never know if their children will be athletic and appealing. Everyone has flaws but also has some qualities. Now behave. Okay, sheesh, sorry. Sunset apologized until the next camper appeared. The group looked at the weird nerd, who seemed to be staring blankly at them, and not saying anything. They felt uneasy until Harold cheered, since he said he would show his awesome skills to everyone. Oh, we have a cocky little boy, let's see how far he can go. Sunset commented as she felt interested if the nerd was going to sink or swim at the game. Usually, boastful people would just bark and don't bite. Saw some soldiers being boastful in all my years of my career, from dozens just 2 managed to back up from their talk. Shining Armor isn't a big fan of boastful guards, but when someone bragged because he or she trained to the limit and showed they have the actual experience and skills. They deserved respect. And then came Trent, which Sunset had her eyes wide open. Wow, this boy is appealing, Sunset confessed, which made the group stare in surprise at how Sunset reacted. Hey, I lived in the human world for years, and I got used to their stats of beauty. Not shame me. Okay, Cadance smirked at her cousin. She was going to tease her a lot later. Then came the conversation about the other reality shows, and how the people wanted to have their heads dropped, and that raised some concerns about the intelligence and good sense of some humans in the universe in general. Cadance then just found the little interaction between Trent and Gwen, which made her eyes sparkle with interest, and without any pony noticing, she glowered her horn and brought to her hooves a pencil and a clipboard. She had some work to do. As time passed, the group watched the next camper, a surfer, which made Sunset whistle in surprise. Oh, a surfer, Rainbow Dash, and Applejack would love to see one in the show, Sunset commented as she saw some weeks before coming to Equestria, the duo of friends trying to win against each other in a surfing competition. Surfer. The ponies stared at her in surprise, which made Sunset taps her mouth with a hoof before giving an explanation. Do you see that big thing on her arms? Sunset pointed as the group nodded their heads to her. It's called a surfer board. It's used to be above the water on beaches, and they use it to take their waves like a sport. They can take waves. Like, walk above the water. Princess Luna asked as she never thought to see something like that happen, or maybe she wasn't paying attention enough. She found some ponies who used money as a source of transportation in some dreams, but using water to walk above it. It's too alien to her. I don't know how to find a better way to explain that. Maybe we can watch her doing it in the show. Sunset said, until every pony flinched from how distracted Bridget was as she was using her surfer board to almost hit everyone on the shores. At the time Noah appeared, Twilight groaned as she found the type Noah talked about. It reminded her of before she visited Ponyville, where way before she always focused most part of her fillyhood on reading books. Princess Celestia chuckled since she could see how her little protégé grew up so quickly, and yet she found amused to see Twilight hoof-palming into seeing someone making fun of the person who was jailed, and now regretting his words. And then when it comes to Lashana, the group seemed to be surprised at how cheerful her spirit and determination to win the girl, and they were already seeing that she was a good girl who would go far in the game. Until Harold opened his mouth. Every pony blinked until Shining Armor face-hoofed the nerd boy who just picked a fight with a woman who seemed way stronger than him. Boy, you never should say something like that to a mare. You want to win, not die, you moron. Shining Armor says some suicidals or some of his recruits who never had a good sense of danger when it comes to talking to a mare. Needless to say, some of them felt a terrible buck in their crotches, which makes every male wince in pain. That boy isn't going to survive much long on the show. Sunset Shimmer smiled. If he is against Spike, this is going to be an easy win for Spike. And after that fiasco, appeared two girls instead of one. Shining Armor gave a glance to Twilight, who smirked at him, and he huffed her mane, which made her pout. Katie and Sadie were just like him and Twilight when they were kids. BBBFF and LSBFF. It was like a good dynamic duo, and nothing could go wrong with them. And then at the time Cody appeared, Sunset groaned, the same way Princess Cadance cringed. To make the Princess of Love cringe, someone must have made a terrible first impression on her and that boy who had not just managed to appear but already managed to try to look appealing to the group of girls. Do the humans follow the herd culture? Princess Luna commented as she could see the look on the boy's face, and he seemed to be eager to have all kinds of mares, but the only thing she could give at him was pity, unless he annoyed her, so then she would magic blast him. No, humans focus only on monogamy, which is just one couple, but I saw some boys like him at school, and they are very annoying. Sunset sighed as she could see that Cody is going to be a pain in the ass for all the girls. I wish I could be there to give some good sense on him. Maybe he never had help before, and if I slap him in the face and tell him what he is doing wrong, maybe he will have a chance to at least have a mare friend, Cadance commented as they could see Lashana already making him stop talking even before trying to talk to her. Oh, I'm liking Lashana more and more. Then appeared a well-strong girl, Eva, which made Shining Armor's eyes wide open from how strong that woman looked, and then when she dropped her bag, it made Cody flinched in pain and asked if it was dumbbells. The monarch of Crystal Empire flexed his legs, feeling a bit inferior in comparison of strength when Eva said it was indeed working out dumbbells. That mare or woman was indeed very strong, and he may need to go back to his training regime. But he laughed when Duncan suggested to DJ about him and her having a relationship. Nah, I cannot see them together. Cadance crossed an X into what could mean the slight chance of what would those two be in the future. What are you doing, Katie? Shining asked, before looking into her eyes. Oh no. Not now, Shiny, I'm working here, Cadance whispered as she remained glancing at each camper, as she was giving slight notes about who she could ship with. And then a loud cheer came which made Princess Celestia, Luna, Cadance, Twilight, and even Sunset, Shining Armor and Flurry Heart look at the person who said that a chubby camper, blonde, who shows all the positivity and longing to participate in the show, Owen, and from the way he was so cheerful, everyone smiled at the fat boy who was so happy to be there. Okay, it's nice to see someone so optimistic around. I hope he and Spike would be on the same team. Twilight commented, and Celestia nodded her head in approval, seeing a boy hugging the others so happily. And then came Courtney, showing her polite greetings, which Princess Luna tilted her head. She looked restrained, like she didn't show her true self yet. The Princess of the Moon commented, as Cadance nodded her head, at her. Sunset scoffed. Probably it's the first episode, and she doesn't want to cause a terrible impression, but in comparison to Heather and Cody, I think she couldn't be any worse than them too. Sunset gave her point, as she saw Owen hugging Courtney happily. Then she just blinked until she opened her eyes to find Justin finally appearing at the show, and her eyes became hypnotized by the appealing face and look of the teenager who appeared in the show. Woof, woof, woof. Did you just bark like a dog? Twilight glanced at Sunset, who just found herself with her eyes sparking and being enamored at the boy in the tan skin. If Spike is a dog in my human world, I can bark like one if I see someone as hot as him. Sunset admired, and every pony glanced at her in the same way. All the girls and even Owen looked enamored to Justin, who was just fine into being the eye candy of the show. Even Owen makes a fool of himself in front of the boy. And on the next moment, Sunset snapped from her thoughts, and Twilight looked surprised to see the cheerful and yet eccentric Ginger Izzy doing what she does best by seeing Izzy's face hit on the shore, and every pony flinching in pain. Shining Armor opened and closed his mouth, while Flurry Heart giggled from the silly fall the girl just had. Both Princess Celestia and Luna felt pity for the pain she must be feeling after hitting the shore with her jaw. Oh, they have their own Pinkie Pie? Both Sunset and Twilight asked in unison, which made them shrug. Well, at least if Spike misses home, he can talk with her. I think she will be interesting like Pinkie is for every pony. Twilight shrugged, since Pinkie has been a great friend, even from her crazy shenanigans, but she and Spike already got used to her, so he isn't far from home. Well, it's just Izzy, just go with it. Both Twilight and Sunset said in unison, as they saw Izzy talking crazily fast like Pinkie, and they nodded their heads in unison. Cadance looked at the ginger girl, and gave a slight glance at her clipboard she just gave him before marking her for something. Well, there are almost everyone, just missing one member. Which Chris came to announce. Princess Celestia was excited, and Sunset and Twilight were also feeling energetic to see their brother in the show. Shining Armor was smiling with pride, since he knew that at the time he appeared, he would be known around the human world, and he already had a lot of success, even as being the hero of Crystal Empire. Come on and get them, Spike. Shining whispered as the new boat appeared. And from the time he appeared, Sunset looked at how the human version of Spike would be, and she couldn't help but admit, he looked handsome, and she recognized the clothing style. It was almost the style of clothing from Carousel Boutique, something Rarity would give to her brother. Princess Celestia saw the mannerism of Spike and was already tearing up, hoping Spike would be well in the show, and from the way Chris talked about how Discord managed to get him in the show, she was feeling dreadful. Until she felt a hoof in her back. He is going to be fine, Tia, trust in him, the Princess of the Moon assured, which the big sister, the pony who raised her own baby dragon since the time he hatched from an egg, and with the help of the Sparkle family she finally felt that her baby dragon was ready into going into his own personal adventure. You are right, come on Spike, show them how Equestria was made. The princess shouted in pride as she wanted to see her own baby win the whole show. Yeah, go get him bro, Sunset shouted as the other ponies decided to cheer as well. You already are brave and glorious, show they how awesome you are. Shining Armor said as Flurry Heart was even sparking a magic blast to show her cheering to her uncle who was in the show. Be careful Spike, but win this show, Twilight shouted as even knowing he couldn't hear them, it was exhilarating to give their support. Thous are going to win nephew, destroy them, and make them to the ground. Huzzah, Princess Luna even used her royal Canterlot voice, as she was a powerful voice to cheer for her own nephew. Spike the Brave the Glorious, for the win, Cadance said as the group was happy to see Spike already was causing a great impression, even the boy who seemed to be a criminal was the first one who greeted him sincerely. So she knew Spike was going far on the show. And then came the photo picture. Isn't that too much weight for the doc? Because that doesn't seem very Twilight was unsure of how safe the doc was until her prediction was correct and the doc fell down, making all the campers go down in the water, never mind. PFFF, ahahahaha. Shining Armor laughed until he felt a slap behind his head. Hey! It's not funny. Sunset scolded. You are smirking. Shining Armor deadpanned, which made Sunset look away. I am and I hate it, Sunset replied, which made the other ponies roll their eyes. After the picture, the group watched Chris explaining the rules, and where they were going to sleep. Thankfully for them, they are not co-ed, which was fair for new teenagers, and they aren't ready to be together yet. They shouldn't be forced to sleep in the same room. And then the teams were separated between Screaming Gophers and Killer Base. Gwen, Trent, Heather, Cody, Beth, Lindsay, Katie, Owen, Lashana, Spike, and Noah. Being on Screaming Gopher made the group stare at each other. On one hoof it's a good thing because Spike is on the same team as Owen, but on the other hand Heather is also there. Twilight commented as she glanced at her brother who also could see how things were going to be difficult for Spike. Ah, Spike can handle it. He passed a whole week having to deal with one of Blueblood's suitors, before, Shining Armor commented, as he, Cadance, and even Blueblood had to give that to Spike. He really had the patience of a saint on that week. Yep, and Blueblood made sure to take him on the Power Ponies event that Mare was really brown nose, and yet Spike took it like a champion until Blueblood managed to make the Mare give up on him. Cadance agreed Spike had to deal with a lot of nobles, so he had very strong patience. So he can manage to survive the show. Well, the good side, it's Gwen, Trent, Lashana, and Owen on the same team. I can see Spike having a great time with them. Princess Luna looked happy with how some members seemed to be okay, and from how they greeted Spike, they seemed to be ready for the win. Twilight noticed Spike commenting about Fluttershy, which brought the attention of Gwen, who to her own surprise is in favor of the natural environment. Spike talked about Fluttershy's animals, especially Harry the bear, which Gwen showed a good start to a very good friendship. Cadance then gave a glance and then a smirk appeared on her face. She used her pencil once more. And then the other team to be chosen to become the Killer Base and Shining Armor, and Twilight flinched into seeing Katie and Sadie ranting and wanting to be on the same team. Their impression of both BFF girls suddenly became lower with time. And then Chris appeared and showed the place where they are going to make the confession. This was interesting since the group could watch the campers venting and knowing more about them. Gwen was the first to tell that she showed the cabin stinks, and then appeared Spike, who just said it could have been worse. What made Twilight and Celestia proud of him was the fact Spike hoped for Chris, saying he would be making friends like when Twilight first started her journey. She was tasked to make friends. Both mother and adoptive sister wished good luck and success for Spike. Then it came Lindsay, who was trying to find the person, and showing her plot to the camera, which Shining Armor blushed as he placed the hoof in front of Flurry Heart, who just giggled. Then appeared a bird, which left the group confused. And finally, Owen, who brought everyone's attention just for the next second. He farted, which made all the Mares who had high hopes for him change their thoughts drastically. While Shining Armor and Sunset Shimmer laughed at the immature joke Owen just pulled to everyone. And then it showed the cabins of every camper, bunker beds, camp-themed cabins. Everything seemed fine until Cody decided to talk with Gwen when he wasn't supposed to be in the girl's cabin. Being launched away from the cabin and making him eat dirty, was enough to make every pony face hoof from his stupidity. "Dude, just stop, for the sake of your dignity," Sunset said as she couldn't believe someone so stupid. Someone so despaired. Until then, nothing much happened, just Lindsay freaking out they have to share the bathroom, Owen just saying he was glad he wasn't going to stay with the girls. "Is Owen a shining armor?" asked the Princess of Love, who shook her head. "He is a bill over," Cadance said as she recognized the signs, depending if was a mare or stallion, or boy and girl, he seemed to show well affection to each of them. "Fair enough." Shining nodded his head, as the group suddenly jumped from the shout coming from the girls' cabin, and seeing Lindsay shouting from a little insect, made Shining Armor stare in disbelief but then saw an axe being thrown away almost hitting the screen. "Kill the fiend, the fiend." Princess Luna shouted as she recalled a terrible time of war she had to fight such a demon in the past, a devil-brown monster who managed to make her once burn the entire castle just for the sake of killing it. "Luna, don't hit the screen." Princess Celestia contained her sister as the group watched both shows, and Princess Luna freaked out from a cockroach until Duncan came with an axe and cut the monster in half. "Well done, Duncan, for your bravery and merciless kill over the monster. I shall pardon thou from all thus crimes on the human world." "Huzzah!" Princess Luna cheered as the group stared at both the princess in disbelief, and at the delinquent who seemed to come to the rescue of the campers. She was happy for the victory of such an evil fiend. Cadance watched closely as then the jock who didn't do anything just came to call for Lindsay, telling he would be doing the same, and she could see the good sparkle of crush in the air, and with that Cadance already gave another mark on her clipboard. Discord was right, she had enjoyed very much the show until now. And then Spike had some interaction with the boys around the show. Most of the group didn't understand what television had to do with Noah's family having 8 kids, but they were very impressed by how fertile the matriarch of his family was. Sunset understood the joke and was the only one laughing. From their perspective, Trent, Owen, and Noah seemed pretty interesting boys, and Spike could pass a great time, and then when appeared Cody with grass in his mouth and said he liked strong girls. Applejack would eat him alive. Both Twilight and Sunset talked about their counterparts' element of honesty, which she would literally make him eat dirt when Cody is going to learn. Then a loud voice called on the main lodge. Shining Armor felt a hint of nostalgia, as he reminded himself of the time as a little soldier on the Royal Guard training. The chef Hatchet, whom Shining Armor immediately could see the patent of the cooker, a chief, which made Shining Armor nod his head in respect, a former military to another. It seems the campers are going to learn how food was important. Royal Guard style. The Mares stared and glanced nervously at the chef, who seemed to be a Brutus and cruel chef, while Shining Armor felt nostalgia at the academy. Ah, the good times. I like him already. Shining Armor was happy to see someone who could represent him in the show, and he was unaware of the stares he was receiving from every pony behind him, even his filly, who was staring at him weirdly. Owen made a joke. Bad mistake, Owen. Shining smiled, as he could see Chef putting him in his place. And seeing Gwen, then seeing the food creating legs and moving, she started to complain. Which Shining Armor rolled his eyes. Nothing like a good hammer wouldn't do. Hey, he just did it. Man, this chef is awesome. Air Cadance, I think your husband is crazy. Sunset whispered at the Princess of Love, who just saw Shining Armor reliving the time of the Royal Guard training. Well, it's the consequences I have to take since I said I do. Cadance shrugged. It came to the whole package, the good things but also the bad things, and the weird things. Spike showed respect by being direct and even eating the food, which many stared at him crazily. It's not that bad in comparison to the times my sister Twilight Sparkle went to the kitchen without me supervising her and she tried to make lunch and breakfast by herself. It was a disaster. Spike commented, which made the group stare at him crazily. This food is at least edible, while my sis food made me knocked for 3 hours. /B. HEY, Twilight shouted as Shining Armor whistled innocently, while Princess Celestia seemed to be distracting into reading a scroll, and even Flurry Heart was just upside down munching a blanket making Twilight pout from sadness. And then to make things worse, Heather opened her mouth which made Twilight glare at the screen. "My parents, you rude human." Twilight wanted to blast Heather with her magic, but since she was in another dimension, she wished she could make her a piece of her mind. "Calm down, Twilight, Spike is already explaining all the names we have, and from his perspective, we in Canterlot name ourselves like that. At least they like his name, I'm so great with naming my children." Celestia was so proud of herself that she had given two of the best names she could give to her children, Sunset Shimmer and Spike the Dragon. The full name of their family showed a hint of royalty and they should be respected. And then Chris came and Jeff made the terrible mistake of ordering pizza. Almost a knife would cut his head off, which was a scary move for the girls, but a nod of respect from the only stallion in the group. "Intimidation never fails," Shining Armor said proudly, as he could imagine he was going to have a great time seeing the show. And then Chris announced their first challenge. Well, at least it's the first challenge, how hard it can be. Twilight somehow managed to jinx the campers, while Sunset stared at her in disbelief. "You jinxed them," Sunset said until DJ said the same thing, a double jinx. Oh boy. Soon enough, all 22 campers found themselves in their swimsuits, standing near the edge of the island's 100-foot-high cliff. Every pony stared at the screen in disbelief, seeing DJ cussing before the episode was over and from seeing that height they were going to jump that cliff. Please, this must be a joke. Sunset hated jinx, but this double jinx was something she never would have expected to see. Cadance was also horrified to see what probably would be the challenge. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh Buck, oh Buck, oh Buck. Spike, calm down, I'm going to get you out of there. Twilight freaked out as she tried to use her horn, but then she felt a slight pain and teleported herself back to where she was, but with a toilet seat on her face. It seems I made a slight calculus mistake, and I passed an hour in my bathroom, but I'm here. Why did Spike accept it into doing that? Sister, are thou okay? Princess Luna asked, as the entire chaos was happening around, Shining Armor flinching and Cadance sweating in fear. The only pony who seemed in the frozen state, was the Princess of the Sun herself. Until two words came from her throat with something like a primal roar which made the every pony from Canterlot jump and run away in fear. DC Chris, and that day the sun scorched the double of the temperature, making Canterlot register one of the most scorching days around all Equestria. After a whole hour of panic crossing for the whole Canterlot, the ponies suffering from the heat happening from the anger of a powerful princess who wanted to have two specific beings locked in Tartarus to suffer any kind of torture and rot, even with the worst criminals around Equestria, including the pony who did tax evasion, but still she, after releasing a frustrated sigh, Princess Celestia returned once back to the royal chambers, which every pony who were there were nervous about how Celestia was angry after seeing her baby dragon into what would be a suicidal challenge. Discord better pray for me to have mercy on him, because I'm torn between sending both him and this Chris to Tartarus or finding a way to make them statues once again. Celestia stomped as she glared at the screen with a fury of 1,000 suns. My sister, while I agree that both of them deserved a terrible punishment for their ideal ways of fun, we have to accept Spike is a very capable dragon, since he helped Twilight Sparkle and her friends into defeating many kinds of threats around Equestria. Princess Luna said as she tried to remain calm, even if in a situation she wanted so much to make both of the sadists suffer terrible nightmares, she had to accept that Spike was already in another dimension and they could not find a way to transport themselves. I have to try. Twilight interrupted both of them, as she glowed her horn trying to make sure a portal would be created, but that spell alone wasn't enough, since she didn't have the right locations, or which spell would fit for dimensional traveling. Twilight, maybe is for the best if you don't do it. Remember when you tried to visit me and the girls while you decided to do an experiment into dimensional traveling without the mirror? Sunset stopped the mare from doing another of her crazy stunts. Since the time Spike told her about what happened, Sunset became worried sick about her friend going to the hospital. Not only did you get magical exhaustion, but you also lost your fur for 2 months. Twilight froze, and then glancing at the princesses and also her brother looking at her funny, she stopped as her face was covered in a deep blush of shame. And the option to appear the next episode appeared on the screen. Every pony, while we know that Spike may be in terrible danger, we must calm down, Shining Armor commented as he glanced at the princess still trying to not destroy anything in the chambers, but she was already stomping her hooves impatiently. He gave a hopeful look at Sunset, who was still with the remote control. Can you please continue to show what happens? Oh, that, right. Sunset realized that she was still with the remote control, and looking at Twilight and Princess Celestia with anticipation in her heart, she didn't want to stay long. Starting the episode right now. And from the start, the episode showed its opening, which made the ponies watch the show listening and enjoying the catchy song. Cameras and stage lights popped throughout the forest, knocking a gopher out of the ground and a squirrel out of its tree. We zoomed through the island, passing Chris knocking over his coffee. Dear Mom and Dad, I'm doing fine. You guys are on my mind. The camera reaches the mountain peak, diving into the water as Owen swims by letting loose a fart just as Jeff is laying back on his surfer board before falling over from the stank with Bridget surfing past him. You asked me what I wanted to be. And now I think the answer is plain to see. I want to be famous. A hawk swoops down, picking up a dead fish from the water, soaring into the sky, accidentally dropping onto a peaceful DJ surrounded by adorable animals who soon bite him when they see the fish, causing him to run off screaming in terror as Duncan laughs and Courtney rolls her eyes. I want to live close to the sun. Go pack your bags, 'cause I've already won. Everything to prove, nothing in my way. I'll get there one day. 'Cause, I wanna be famous. Heather and Lashwana slap fight on a raft, unaware of the waterfall nearby as it falls downward as Harold is practicing karate. Izzy swings by on a vine, crashing into Harold, knocking them into the confession booth, knocking Lindsay out. Inside the main lodge, Chef sticks his arm into a pot of green soup, smirking into the tied-up and fearful Noah, his unlucky taste tester. Na 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 na. I wanna be famous. I wanna be famous. Katie and Sadie swoon as Justin looks at himself in the mirror while Beth twirls around her batons, tossing the flaming stick into the air. And while the baton was in the air, Spike gave a fire breath to make sure to lit the campfire, which Gwen and Trent look at each other before Cody gets between them, smiling with an arm around each of them. The campers Chef and Chris sit around the campfire whistling to the tune of the song. I have to admit, the song is very catchy. Twilight tried to say positively, which her brother and sister-in-law agreed by nodding. Even if Spike is already famous in Crystal Empire, I think I can understand their concept of idea, Cadance commented as she could see all the groups being unique, even if Flurry Heart giggled from seeing the humans acting silly. Everyone on there want to be famous by being watched by every pony. We say everyone when it comes about humans, Katie. Sunset corrected her cousin as she could be surprised by the theme song of the show. They showed Spike doing his dragon fire. Well, let's see how this will goes. I hope Spike is going to be fine. Twilight commented, as she could see both Princess Celestia and Princess Luna being anxious to know about what's going to happen. Most of the campers looked down the 100-foot-high cliff with either fear or even some excitement. All of them were in swimsuits as they looked at Chris, who was standing next to a creature with a picture of a chicken on it. Okay. Chris said to make sure he had all 22 teens' attention. Today's challenge is threefold. Your first task is to jump off this 100-foot-high cliff into the lake. Every pony flinched, as they gulped into seeing how terrible idea would be. It's not just jumping from the cliff. Princess Celestia was sweating, feeling fear for her baby dragon, and the possibility of there was nothing that it would make things even worse. Bridget looked down the cliff without fear and saw that there were indeed two areas. A large wide zone and a smaller circle area within the large zone. Piece of cake. Bridget smiled and confidently said. And now you've done it, Sunset said as she slapped her head in disbelief. I admit your courage, but you shouldn't have said that. If you look down, you will see two target areas, Chris explained while pointing to the different zones inside of the water. The wider area represents the part of the lake that we have stocked with psychotic, man-eating sharks. Everyone looked down and flinched when they saw the fins of sharks appearing in the large zone. What? The whole group of ponies shouted as Twilight was hyperventilating, Sunset was feeling the pressure, Shining Armor was narrowing his eyes angrily, Princess Cadance was horrified, and both Princess Celestia and Princess Luna were with bloodshot eyes. How dare you thous make our lineage into suffer such dangerous challenge, you insect? Princess Celestia and Luna shouted in royal Canterlot voice as the entire walls trembled from their anger. Discord. I swear by Faust, you are going to beg for being turned into stone after what I'm going to do with you. Princess Celestia swore that she would make Discord suffer for every single time Spike would be seen in pain. She swore that she would beat him so much, that not even his mom would recognize him. I'm going to banish him in the moon. Such a comment coming from the Princess of the Moon made every pony stares at Luna in surprise. What? I was there, I should also send someone as a punishment too. I agree with you, Celestia shouted in her royal Canterlot voice, and while the group was trying to continue the show, the ponies outside the castle were running in panic, knowing that someone angered their princesses, and now every pony must suffer the consequences. Mom, Auntie, I know that you are both angry. But please, be calm. I'm sure Spike is going to be fine. Sunset said as she tried to regain the confidence, and seeing on how afraid she was for her baby brother, she was almost hyperventilating. And talking about hyperventilating. Twilight, calm down, everything is going to be okay. Cadance tried to assure the Princess of Friendship, but Shu was already in panic. Be okay. Be okay. My baby brother is going to jump a 100-feet cliff in a water full of sharks and you said everything is going to be okay. Twilight took the head of her sister-in-law and shaked as her panic paranoid form was once again activated. Fluttershy isn't there to talk with them to help him, how is going to survive if he gets eaten? Twilight, calm down. I know that you are afraid, Tartarus, even I'm afraid. But you gotta calm yourself down, Spike is our brother, he can do that. Shining Armor usually said firmly, as he wanted to not just convince her, but also himself that his bro was going to survive that, we must have faith in him. Twilight, who was still hyperventilating, slowly recovered her breath, as she then felt something nearby her nice flurry heart giving a hug on her, which was enough to make the Princess of Friendship have the filly on her arms and find the comfort that she needed. Okay, you are right, we don't know how the physics on that dimension works, so maybe Chris had thought about the limits of their human body, and have convinced himself that it was not something that could actually kill them. Twilight decided to calm her mind, and then use some logical side of her brain, since Spike is in another dimension, maybe his body could take all the danger launched on him. Let's hope that your theory is true, Twilight. Sunset Shimmer hopped as well, and since the episode paused, it was the time for them to continue to watch it. Also inside that area, there is a safe zone. That's your target area, which, we're pretty sure is shark-free. Chris finally explained the areas. Which didn't help their anxiety at all. Okay, so that's good. Shining Armor said as he felt a little more relieved, but the same couldn't be said from the others. Excuse me. Lashana said to Chris in response to the host's last words. Who seemed to take it as a signal to continue. For each member of your team that jumps and actually survives, there will be a crate of supplies waiting below. Chris gestured to the beach at the bottom of the cliff where everyone could see 2 stakes of crates waiting below. Inside each crate are supplies that you'll need for the second part of the challenge, building a hot tub. The team with the best one gets to have a wicked hot tub party tonight. The losers will be sending someone home. So that means, that even after the whole dangerous challenge, they still need to carry the crates. Which it doesn't seem that difficult for me, just to build a hot tub. Shining Armor commented as he gave a glance on the crates, and possibly he and his soldiers could have carried on the crates easily, but the part of jumping the cliff in a zone full of sharks. It would need to be an example of military into doing that. The group stared at each other until Chris pointed at the Killer Base team. Alright, Killer Base, you're up first. Oh, wow, Bridget's confidence faded a little as she saw the sharks swimming in the larger zone. The surfer girl then looked to her team and asked. So, Who wants to go first? Everyone was completely silent and the chirping of a cricket could be heard. Does that answer your question? Princess Luna commented as she felt snarky on that moment, knowing that it was her that tempted the fate into bringing the sharks on the challenge. She didn't deserve it, the snark, but Luna wanted some vindication. Their musings are interrupted when Owen laughs optimistically. Hey, don't sweat it, guys. The big guy reassured everyone over the cliff. I heard that these shows always make the interns do the stunt first to make sure it's survivable. Oh yeah, we totally did that. Chris nodded, trying to avoid his gaze from everyone. And after that the whole group watched on how Chris tricked Chef Hatchet into jumping on the cliff, which made all of them sighs in relief that it's possible to jump from the weight without even minor injuries, but the problem later made them gulp in fear of Chef almost get eaten by a shark, but he ran away quickly like Pinkie Pie, so that made the sharks unable to catch him. Oh good, that means if they are fast enough to run like that, they can survive from the sharks. Shining Armor was proud into seeing a military man responsible of his career showing a way that mostly his soldiers would do. If it was him, he would have used a magic shield around his body to protect from the sharp teeth. Good work, Chief, I'm proud of you. The Mares stared at the man who seemed proud of the chef who ran away in fear and panic, but now they were more relieved by knowing that the sharks weren't as dangerous as they should be, and the jump was somehow survivable, so that gives them a good sigh in relief. It's really no big deal, just an insane dive into a circle of angry sharks. Bridget tried to reassure herself. So she takes a dive as everyone runs up and looks at her diving into the safety zone. Bridget came out and waved to everyone, showing that she was fine. And by seeing the surfer being the first to jump, and getting out from the water completely fine, the group relaxed. Very impressing little Bridget. Thous may have caused the worst outcome over the sharks, but was the first person to jump from Thous' team. Princess Luna commended her act, as showing the girl had proved herself in front of the princess, and receiving also a nod from her own sister. Impressive indeed, she went head first, and showed not even a single inch of fear. Princess Celestia was impressed on how courageous a mare or girl as her daughter has taught her managed to do the dangerous challenge and even was able to get a point for her team. Is she from the Spikes team? She isn't, she is from the opposite team, Sunset commented as she was still trying to memorize which members of which team belonged to, and it's going to take a while. Well, that's unfortunate, Cadance commented, as she went back to her clipboard and gave a glance to her sister-in-law. She was still a bit busy being hugged by her treasure Flurry Heart, both them watching in relief at how the challenge could be done. Awesome. I'm next. Cowabunga. Tyler yells as he takes a run off the cliff with his chest puffed up with pride, and runs at the cliff before leaping off with a yell, but the high dive ends with his groanings of pain. His body fell on one of the buoy's towers before he slid into the safety zone. The ponies flinched as Flurry Heart giggled from seeing the pain towards the clumsy jock. That must be horrible, Twilight commented as she had some similar moments where she managed to catch herself with her body into a very solid object, which made her groan in pain, but still seeing the boy managing to get out from there. Woo-woo. Ha ha ha. Jeff cheered and laughed as he dived down the cliff next, his hat still stuck into his head. Duncan remained in silence with his arms crossed, ready to take the jump. Look out below. Eva yelled as she jumped down after Jeff. Duncan was completely silent as he jumped down the cliff with his arms crossed. Wow, Duncan must have nerves of steel. Princess Luna was surprised to see a human not even fazed from the danger, so that concludes. The ponies were now happy to see that everyone from that world seemed to be fine from jumping that high and surviving without hurting themselves, and if they did, with minimal injuries. Okay, I think now Spike can do it without fear. Shining Armor commented as he looked at the humans who jumped. A part of him also felt a bit of adrenaline rushing in his body. From the way they are jumping, it makes me also want to try it. Are you? Princess Cadance asked as she raised her eyebrow, which made the Prince of Crystal Empire shook his head. Buck, no, there is no way I'm going to do that. Shining Armor said shamelessly, which made the ponies chuckle at his answer. Next up was DJ, who looked down the cliff, but instead of jumping the team shook a little and backed away from the edge. Ah! No way, man. DJ said while waving his hands and backing away more. I'm not jumping. Scared of heights? Chris asked as DJ turned to him. Yeah. DJ nodded. Ever since I was a kid. That's alright big guy, Chris told DJ, getting a smile on the teen's face which was soon lost after what he said next. Unfortunately, that also makes you a chicken. So, you'll have to wear this for the rest of the day. Chris then reached into the box he was standing next to, pulled out a RBB chicken hat and placed it on DJ's head. Ah, man. For real. DJ frowned as he looked up at his new headwear. Really? That's all it takes. Wow, Spike could easily avoid jumping the terrible high, if they just concealed defeat for once. I mean, how being a chicken worse than actually jump? Twilight was commenting as there was no way Chris would. Balk balk balk. Chris mocked while doing a little chicken dance before pointing to an escalator that was on the cliff for some reason. That means the chicken path down is that away. Next. Yeah, he would. Twilight hoof-palmed her face as she could see Chris acting like Rainbow Dash when someone decided to give up in fear. I hate when people do that, Sunset said as she knew one of her best friends she holds dearly, but she always want to beat the CRP out of her when Rainbow Dash does the chicken mock. Princess Celestia gulped in fear. She wanted her son to not do something dangerous, but she would hate seeing her son humiliated and being called a coward. He is going to jump. Celestia knew her son, she knew that Spike would never let any pony down, and having a team, and possibly new friends. He wants to prove himself to them. Twilight and Shining Armor wanted to protest, but knowing Spike, he always wanted to prove his valor to his family and watching him to another dimension. They know Spike isn't going to disappoint his team. Justin confidently took a dive into the water, just for the fear of everyone. He landed outside of the safe zone. OHNO, Sunset said as she felt fear for the supermodel that she has a new crush on, but suddenly the video showed in slow motion, as her heartbeat started to see the appealing scene in front of her. Everybody yelled at Justin to swim away from the sharks, until the impossible occurred. The moment the sharks appeared near him, they stopped swimming until they saw the water dripping off his body and his sparkling eyes and smile. Which made the sharks enamored with the teenager and helped the handsome boy to pick him up and give him a ride to the shore. Every pony had their jaws slacked from seeing Juten doing the impossible, and Sunset placed her hoof on her face as she tilted her head looking enamored at the supermodel. Well, I think that's a way to make the sharks behave. Princess Cadance commented as she gave a glance at the human Justin, and seeing her cousin already in a crush, she decided to make a mark between the names of Justin, Sunset, and even some sharks on her clipboard. Everyone was slawjacked about that. But seeing the group of Killer Base already had another member on the boat, they cheered for another point for them. Yes. Harold cheered before jumping down while doing the splits. Splash. Aya-ha-awaya. Harold yelled in pain as he yelled into the water PP fist. Everyone watching, even the sharks, all winced as Harold continued to scream. It was something all the males around the cliff, and even on the beach, covered their crotches in reflex. AGH. Shining Armor fell down, which made every pony look horrified at what happened. Shining. Both Cadance and Twilight went to see the stallion recoiled in fear. What happened? I don't know, but suddenly I felt a pain in my lower region. Shining Armor never felt a pain like that. He didn't hit anything, but just hearing the skinny boy with glasses splashing in the water, made him feel a shared pain. I think that is what made you have pain. Sunset Shimmer pointed on the screen, showing Harold was hit on the water from the splash PP first. That's where the male's reproductive system is. Shining Armor, realizing that, coughed. As he felt the terrible pain that he suffered, in sympathy with the boy who just was so courageous and dumb enough to do that. Ooh. Chris laughed a bit as he watched the scene from on top of the cliff. Hate to see that happen. Excuse me, Chris, Courtney said to the host as she stood at the edge of the cliff. I have a medical condition. Really? Does she have heart problems? Because that would be terrible for her to jump and possibly would lead to her disqualification. Twilight commented as Sunset narrowed a bit of her eyes. She doesn't look like she was eager to throw the towel, and seems with some excuse in her mind. Sunset could see from the upside attitude Courtney was having at that moment, she could already see how that would go. What condition? Chris asked. A condition that prevents me from jumping off cliffs, Courtney stated in an obvious tone. She cannot be serious. Shining Armor asked as he looked in disbelief at the audacity of the girl simply saying in such an obvious state, that most of her team jumped and they would risk a lot of losing the challenge. While I could understand her lack of longing to jump. She shouldn't have made such a joke about doing it. Princess Luna raised her eyebrow as she deadpanned at the girl who did not want to jump. You can chicken out if you want. Chris offered Courtney as he smugly looked at her. But it might end up costing your team the win. And then they'll hate you. It's a calculated risk, Courtney said confidently with her arms crossed. I've seen the other team, and I don't think 10 of them will jump. Don't underestimate the Spikes team, Princess Luna said angrily as she hated how she looked at the tone of the BRT girl who was so cocky on their victory. Sister, while I share your sentiment, I have to say, Spike's team has some obstacles on their own. The team he has is probably in a terrible spot. Cadance and Shining Armor nodded their heads and grimaced at the possibility that Spike would even risk himself in danger for a team who wouldn't win. All right, here is your chicken hat, Chris said as he put a chicken hat on top of Courtney's head. Chris then took out his clipboard again and went over it. So let's tally up the results. Hold on. That's 7 jumpers and 2 chickens. We're missing 2. Those 2 were Sadie and Izzy, with the former holding hands with Katie tightly. I'm not jumping without Katie, Sadie said with Katie nodding in agreement. We have to be on the same team, Chris, Katie said to the host before she and her best friend approached Chris. Please. Please. Can we, Chris? Can we? Both Sadie and Katie constantly asked the host. Both Shining Armor and Twilight flinched from their exposition of siblings would make them cringe in shame. Were we that bad when you babysat me? Twilight asked Cadance, who had a whole minute to think about it, and from that time she had flashbacks of how Shining Armor and Twilight were so close that it was like she was even his caller once. Or for the time needed to go to the Phillies' room Shining Armor got to stay outside of the door while being like a bodyguard. More or less. Cadance waved her hoof, which she could see how far those 2 would go. So imagining it wasn't that bad with both Sparkle members, but she could imagine Spike having a headache if he dealt with it every single day. I'll switch places with her, Izzy offered as she raised her hand. Alright, fine. Chris relented with an irritated expression on his face. You're both on the killer base now. Izzy, you're on the Screaming Gophers. Izzy smiled and shrugged, and she headed over to her new team with Katie and Sadie hugged each other. Yes. The besties cheered. That means you're up, girls, Chris told the 2 as he pointed towards the edge of the cliff. We're coming, killer base. With their hands joined, both Katie and Sadie jumped down the cliff at the same time fearlessly. It's so nice to see Izzy giving her spot for one of the girls. Shining Armor had to give that for the happy Ginger, since she seemed to show sportsmanship towards the girls, and even a relief for both Chris and the ponies watching the Migraine twins who are now at the same team. I don't know why, but I have a great feeling that she would be a good asset on Spike's team. He may need someone to cheer him up in crazy situations like that. Like Pinkie Pie? Both Sunset and Twilight asked in unison, since a good part of their minds shared the same thought. Whenever the universe is, there would always be a Pinkie Pie around, so having someone to make Spike laugh would actually help him in case he is homesick. Princess Cadance looked at the Ginger, who seemed fine to change teams, and then listed the theory of her husband, so in case, she decided to mark Izzy's name on her clipboard. And counting with them too, it seems everyone from the killer base team made their decision. 9 of them jumped and 2 gave up, Twilight said as she was now in analysis towards the possibility around Spike's team. The Screaming Gopher just needs to have 10 of them to jump, and that would make a victory for Spike's team. But that would lead to a discussion: will his team really jump? Princess Celestia asked as she showed a worried glance at the television show. Okay, Chris said as he finished marking down the last of the killer base on his clipboard. The host then turned to the screaming gophers and said, "So that's 9 jumpers and 2 chickens. Screaming gophers, if you can beat that we'll throw in a pull cart to put your crates on." Nice. Okay, guys. Trent spoke up as he turned to his teammates. Who's up first? Spike glanced around, seeing that his team was hesitating to jump. He was about to offer himself to jump when suddenly a voice interrupted him. Neither the group who was watching said a sound. The group could see that many of them were nervous, and needed someone who could both inspire or deny their chance of victory. And for seeing Heather. "I'm sorry," Heather said firmly as she crossed her arms and shook her head. "There's no way I'm doing this." "Why not?" Beth asked the taller girl. Hello, national TV, Heather said as if the answer to the question was obvious. "I'll get my hair wet." "You're kidding, right?" Gwen asked while looking at Heather in disbelief. "If she's not doing it, I'm not doing it," Lindsay said as she and Heather smirked at each other. "I can't believe it," Twilight whispered in disbelief. "I would agree if she was afraid of jumping or even with the possibility of hurting herself, but to wet her hair. Well, she is a snob. I can see from the look of her face." Sunset wasn't amused. She already could guess from the idea of Heather being a lame girl to give up for a stupid reason. "I don't want to offend Rarity, but I think she also would give the same excuse." Twilight opened her mouth to scowl at her friend but then realized how sometimes the element of generosity was a bit of dramatic mare. She couldn't blame Sunset for saying she said that. "So that means the team is going to lose?" Princess Luna asked as she was afraid for Spike's team already lost so easily, but also hoping that in case many of his team gave up, he wouldn't need to jump. "From the look, I'm watching that girl Lashana. I think that's far from the truth, sister." Princess Celestia gave a glance and she knew that look. She had a lot of that headache from many years of the past and once again it happened. "Oh, you're doing it," Lashana told Heather in an aggressive tone as she got right into Heather's face. "Says who?" Heather crossed her arms and glared back at Lashana. "Says me," Lashana said back as she glared right into Heather's eyes. "I'm not losing this challenge, 'cause you got your hair day, you spoiled little daddy's girl. Back off, ghetto glamour, too tight pants wearing, rap star wannabe." Heather insulted Lashana right back into her face. Mall shopping, ponytail wearing, teen girl reading, peeking in high school prom queen. Lashana didn't let up on the insults to Heather. Heather was silent for a moment before smirking and simply saying, "Well, at least I'm popular." Everyone winced in response to the catfight going on or smirked as they watched the show. At that moment Twilight and Shining Armor had their eyes wide open, while Princess Luna and Princess Celestia had raised their eyebrows on the statement of the Korean girl. "I would doubt that," Princess Luna commented, but seeing her sister who was taking a deep breath, she couldn't help but ask. "Are thou okay, sister?" "Oh, I'm fine, it's just this moment that happened to remind me of some pony," Princess Celestia said as her eyes glanced at the Princess of Love who was trying her best to not look into their eyes. "What? Me, what are you talking about, auntie?" Princess Cadance frayed innocent since she tried her best to not relieve. Until the iconic static caught the attention of every pony. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 5. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and CaioCoia on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.